Well, guys, we've officially hit it. The regular season is over. The postseason is now over. We are now here to Super Bowl preparation time. It will be the Seattle Seahawks versus the New England Patriots. That's right. But I am leaving biased out of this video because this is just a strictly game preview. Obviously, I want New England to win. But we're just going to look at this from the number standpoint, because if we take a look at this, they honestly stack up pretty well. This is a pretty evenly matchup, more than what people I think want to give credit to New England, and we're going to just kind of break it down today. So, starting it off, maybe the most glaring thing on this board right here is Darnold's postseason. So, over the course of 2 games, Darnold has had 470 yards, 4 touchdowns with no interceptions. You'll see that that's underlined, because if we take a look at Drake May, who's played one more game, has more yards, but by 60. Yeah, same amount of touchdowns. He also has the 2 interceptions. Plus, if we take a look over here, he has 6 fumbles. 3 of those fumbles were losses. So, fumbles were definitely a big thing for Drake May all year. He led the league in fumbles and in fumbles lost with 14. I don't know how many he lost, but it was a high amount. Now, I don't necessarily know why it's such a big problem. It might be because of how he holds the ball when he moves up in the pocket. I don't know, but fumbles have been a big thing for him all year, so I know Seattle is going to be underlining this one, as much as they can, because with the offensive line that they have and with the poor play of Will Campbell the last couple weeks, that could be a big matchup to look out for. I mean, Darnold in, one less game has played more efficient, cleaner football. He's just played overall better. He's led his team better, I believe. I believe the Seahawks are winning because of Darnold. I don't know. I could really say in the postseason. I'm not saying regular season, because obviously Drake's an MVP candidate. But in the postseason, I don't know if we could sit here and say that it's because of Drake is why New England's winning. Just saying. But here's an interesting one. So the Seahawks offense averages 32.5 points a game. New England's offense, 16 points a game. But let's not get that out of context, because their defense has only been allowing 8.67 points a game. They've got 12 sacks and 5 interceptions on their opponents, and they've allowed 71 rush yards a game. Why do I have these arrows right here? Well, because a main reason of Seattle's success this postseason, K9, who has 178 yards, 4 touchdowns over the span of 3 games. He scored a touchdown in every game on average. And so I think one of the big key matchups for me is going to be Seattle's offense versus Patriots defense, because the Patriots defense has been the best in the postseason. Meanwhile, Seattle's offense has been the best in the postseason. So we have a fairly even matchup on that side of the ball. Now, I'm not discrediting Seahawks defense at all, but they have at the best rushing defense. And if we come over here and take a look at New England's rush yards per game, 130. They've been leaning heavy on Ramondre and Travion. Ramondre especially, and I'm proud of Ramondre, because early in the season, a lot of people were calling for him to get benched, me included. I'm not even acting like I was not on that bandwagon, because he was fumbling a lot. But they've really leaned on him in this postseason, and I don't expect that to change whatsoever. If we take a look at the passing yards a game this postseason, it is down from the regular season to 248. Now, what could that be a sign of? Well, I think teams are just more so catching on to what Drake May can do. They know he's a good deep ball passer now. They know what New England is going to want to do to establish a run, work off of play action. I mean, all postseason we've seen Drake trying to stretch the field vertically to get the ball downfield to his receivers. So I think it's a sign of defenses starting to catch on a little bit, but also poor offensive line play has definitely, not helped. And also, New England has played 3 of the top 5 defenses this postseason, so I'm sure that's the main factor. But it could be a bunch of things. I think another key matchup is Jackson Smith versus Christian Gonzalez. Is he gonna follow him the entire game? I'd expect him to. Is he just gonna shadow one side of the field? I don't know how they're necessarily gonna play that defensively, but I would expect Gonzo to play JSN all game. Now, what does that mean? Well, you also got Cooper Kupp. And who's the Patriots' second defensive back? Carlton Davis. So that's going to be huge. huge matchup to look out for will be Carlton Davis on Cooper Kupp if they run any man coverage, which I expect New England to do a lot of because of their front four has been amazing all postseason with the 12 sacks. So that's going to be a huge one. I don't really know if I trust Carlton Davis in coverage on Cooper Kupp. I got to be honest, Carlton Davis has let up quite a few big plays this postseason. He did have a good game against Houston when he had the 2 interceptions, so I'll give credit where credit is due. So Seattle's defense, however, they're allowing 16.5 points a game, so which is right around in New England's average, so that stacks up fairly well. They have less turnovers with 2 forced fumbles and only 1 interception, but that does not mean they have not gotten after the quarterback pressure-wise. I know pressures isn't really a stat that will show up on the stat sheet for people to look at, but pressure-wise, their front four has definitely been pretty scary for the most part. They've caused pretty good pressure. I think on that 4th down in the LA game against the Rams, pressure was a huge factor on why they didn't convert it. So they're forcing quarterbacks to hurry through their reads. They're forcing them to get to their guys quicker than they want. And they're collapsing the pocket faster than you'd want if you're an offense. So that's going to be another huge thing to look out for because New England's offensive line, who is already kind of not great, they're gonna have a test. This will be the best test defensive line wise, maybe outside of Houston that they've had so far. I know Denver's defensive line is pretty good, but come on, Houston's defensive line is way scarier. So I think Seattle's defensive line will be the best test since the Houston game. So what are the main takeaways that I'm looking for this is, can Drake protect the ball on offense? Can the offensive line keep Drake upright? Can they get the run game established? And how efficient is this pass game going to be? I think are the main 4 that I have, because those 4 things have really been the structure for Patriots postseason this season so far. So I think if they can get those 4 things going, I think they'll be okay. Seattle's side is, how is Darnold going to play, right? This will be the best defensive line he's gone against so far. This will be the most pressure I'm sure he'll face. I'm sure New England will try to blitz the hell out of him. How is he going to fare against that? We all know the infamous game he's seen go 7 years ago, but he has a chance to get his revenge right here and put all of that to bed. So how is that going to fare? Next is, how is Cooper Kupp going to do on Carlton Davis? I got to be honest, I think that's going to be barbecue chicken. If I'm Carlton Davis, you're going to have a long day. So, and then next would be, how is Jackson Smith going to do against Christian Gonzalez, which I have as a key matchup. So there's a lot of things that are stacking up very well for both sides. I think this is, like I said, a more even game than people want to give credit. Everybody's saying, Seahawks by 30, Seahawks by 20. But, if we really take a look at the stats and break it down, they're pretty similar teams. I think overall the quarterback play has definitely been better for Seattle than it has been for New England with, the 8 total turnovers from Drake May. But I think overall we're looking at 2 very efficient teams, especially on the defensive side of the ball. That Seattle defense is very scary. Their secondary is very good. I think their secondary is better than New England's, but I think New England's front 4 is better than Seattle. So everything is matching up differently with each other. It's like almost just flip-flopping, who's better. So it's going to be a really fun game. It's going to be a really good game. I think the Patriots need to lean on their running backs. They need to maybe not try to force things as much as they have been this postseason. I think if you're Seattle, you want to get Jackson Smith going early on Christian, because you got to get your guy get your guy going, get your guy involved. So I think we'll see a lot of what they did against LA when they lined him up in the backfield, have him on, the scissors concept, stuff like that, because Patriots love running nickel. They'll be dropping a lot of cover 2, man-to-man blitzes like that. So I think that'll be the main focus for Seattle, is to get their guy going, obviously. And then how are they going to fare in the ground game? You want to get Kenneth Walker going early. You want to get him going. You want to get his confidence built up if you're Seattle. So I think that's another really good thing to watch out for, because this New England rushing defense is no joke, man. There's been no joke. So I think establishing run for them is also early key. But it's going to be a good game no matter what, I hope. I'm feeling a score, like a low-scoring, grungy defensive game, like a 17-20 game, something along those lines. I hope New England wins, but I kept bias out of this. I just want a good game, if I'm being honest. I didn't even expect New England to be here, but I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, share it to your grandma. Maybe she's a Super Bowl fan. I don't know.